So welcome back as promised after the clean, squat and press complex. As a bonus exercise, some additional core stuff. We're going to add in the reverse windmill. So with the kettlebell on the floor, we're not going to use that for the moment. What we're going to get you to do is take your left foot back and then open it 45 degrees. Now your hips, I want them to shift towards the other foot so that that foot that's turned, your shoulder's basically going to go down to it. Okay? So what happens is if the hips are in the middle, I either have to bend the knee or I'm going to lean outside my center of mass and fall over. So I offset the hips away. This engages both hamstrings. You can bend one leg if you can't reach the weight. Bend both of them though and you end up being unstable again. So you offset the hips, open here, the back of the palm on the inside of the leg. Slide down, breathe, basically reaching that handle. Brace, so we want that kind of puncture, we want a tight core. In, puncture, 3 seconds. So we're basically lifting with the obliques. It's very good for runners, obliques and QL in terms of kind of hip control. So again, from the beginning, we've got the feet parallel. Your left foot is going to step back and offset to 45 degrees. Hips are going to move away. Shoulder down to the foot that's externally rotated as we move the hips. Coming in, grab and breathe. And come up. So we actually want some time under tension here. Instead of like a kind of bicep curl in a second, we really want you to come up with an exhalation of a few seconds, similar to the transitions you'll see in yoga poses. The other foot you can actually turn. You may find that easier, or you can keep it open. So you can have both feet angled off at 45 degrees. Hips move away. Reach down, grab the handle, stand tall, and relax. So with the bell now, we slightly turn the handle to 45 degrees so that it's offset. That means that you're still facing the walls in the room rather than offset to a corner, and in terms of feedback and that, it can make things a little bit tricky. So we're just going to offset that handle to 45 degrees. Now, if your feet are here, all you're doing is that. Okay, watch. Yeah, or you can stand here, you can step back, you can turn out. So your kettlebell is on the instep of your foot so that you know where it is and don't have to look or feel around for it and maybe lose balance. Offset the hips. Breathe, find the handle, brace, and switch sides. So again, we're going to just shift that across relative to where the feet are, into the instep, close to the shin so that you know where it is. Foot comes forward, so the feet are here, bell here. Hips away, hand, breathe, brace, exhale, so the windmill, let me just sit down here because I've adjusted the angle of the camera. The windmill is pretty much a core isolation exercise. It's going to really focus on increasing range of motion, particularly the hamstrings if they're straight, because you are basically kind of leaning into a stretch. But the real effects are going to be at the obliques and the QL, kind of around the hip area. What I recommend people do is you certainly don't want to hit this for kind of sets of 10 or 20 repetitions. What I recommend is add this in as, don't let the term finisher fool you, it's not about collapsing in a heap. Add them in as a finisher. So a great example would be using the kettlebell as a seat, which I haven't done for a long time. A great example would be to do your 5 minutes of clean squat and press, and then maybe put 90 seconds on the timer and just do alternate windmills to finish. So you could literally have the bell here. So we've got 90 seconds on the clock. Good form. So obviously I'm going a little bit faster than that 3 seconds which I told you about earlier, and that's okay. And then we're going to switch that over. We're going to come here. So what you've got there is, once you've done that kind of strength, cardio aspect of the complex, the conditioning side, you're just going to finish it with a nice little bit of core and maybe a stretch. Now you could actually go really slow and treat it almost kind of as a Tai Chi yoga. So that will give you a much better core workout than the fast version ever will. What's to say you couldn't do 6 of those, 10 seconds each, last minute, done. So there you have it. We've got the squat and the deadlift, 2-hand swing, clean, rack squat, press, variations of the press to make it a little bit more isolated, seated and on the floor version. Then we've given you a complex as a take-home workout which pretty much ticks all the boxes, and then some core stuff, that reverse windmill to finish it. I do hope you've enjoyed that and you've had as much fun in the world of kettlebells as I have. I'm still learning, I'm still passionate about them, I love teaching them, I love training with them. I can see these as things that will literally be with me for the rest of my life. And the great news is they'll last longer than I do, because you won't need to buy any more. They're cast iron, stainless steel, they will last hundreds of years. You may need to, I don't know, if you look after them and they don't rust or rot, you might need to give them a re-powder coat or a sand down once in a lifetime, if you've forgotten about them and chucked them in the back of the garage. But if they're kept in, if you kept them in a cupboard or under the stairs, they would literally look the same in 30 years' time. And you can't say that about us. I can't even say that if you use kettlebells, you'll look the same in 30 years' time. You might not age as quickly as you would if you don't, but that's another story entirely. So the take home here, guys, is really to understand that instead of, let's be honest, I think what puts a lot of people off with the gym is, the gym's a travel, and then you've got to find parking and get changed, and then lockers, and then someone's on the treadmill, so you've got to adjust your routine now, and you've got your this and that, and then there's the dumbbell bit, and the Swiss ball's been nicked, and you'll use the cables instead, and some idiot squatting in the curl rack, so curling in the squat rack, should I say, and squatting in the curl rack, you can get revenge on them that way. And then you want a mat for your core and your isometrics and your stretching, and therefore, and then you've got a shower, and you maybe get some stuff on the way home from the shop or talk to your friends. And let's be honest, maybe I've given you an exaggerated version there, but that's a 2-hour round trip, and that's why so many people don't train, because they genuinely, they don't not have the time. Listen to the difference. There's a distinction here. It's not that they don't have the time, they don't have the 2 hours. That's the deal. They don't have the 2 hours that they think they need to go to the gym and have a workout. And yet, with a kettlebell, with a decent warm-up, an intense session, and then a minor stretch and some mobility afterwards, literally in 15 minutes, you are done. Now, if you really wanted to ramp this up to the next level, what's to say that you couldn't do 1 minute of clean squat and press, and then jump next door and do a set of press-ups or squat thrusts or burpees or running on the spot or star jumps, and then come back in and do another 30 or 60 seconds. See, there's always the next level of challenge. Fatigue is largely dictated first by intensity and then by duration, which is why many people could potentially jog for 30 to 60 minutes if they had to, particularly if there was a gun behind them or a huge pile of money at the finish line. They'll find that motivation. And yet you can only sprint for 10, 20 or 30 seconds before you're wiped out. So what happens is it's the intensity of the training that dictates the fatigue more than the duration. So that, I hope, gives you an insight into even how to create a basic workout for yourself using what we've covered, adding some additional stuff, maybe even being some creative with some extra equipment. You know, you may have some dumbbells, you may have a Swiss ball, you may have a power wave or a Bulgarian bag or a TRX, where you can really, within 15 minutes, finish having had a full body workout. Thank you for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.